Hey guys, Russell Bobbitt with Gnarly Routes. Today we're going to learn how to wheelie. So let's dive right into the wheelie. It's one of those skills in your wheelhouse that, you know, when coupled with a few other movements is just super essential. The wheelie itself can be used for all kind of applications, and I'm not just talking about the 12 o'clock boys that are cruising down the Atlanta streets. It's super useful when coming up to certain obstacles on the trail, log crossings, moving the front end out of the way of something, and just being in control of your motorcycle. I'll be the first to say I'm not a great wheelie person. Like, I cannot carry that fourth and fifth gear wheelie for miles and miles, but I can get the front wheel up whenever I need to and place my front wheel on certain obstacles at the right point with enough clutch and throttle control to make certain things happen. To start a wheelie, the initial process is really a little bit of helping the suspension to act with you, work with traction, and the correct delivery of clutch and throttle, the right amounts. Anyone who's ridden up a hill knows it's much easier to wheelie when you're going uphill, and that's mainly because, you know, the weight is working with you. You've got better traction because all of your weight is already going back to the rear of the motorcycle, and the front wheel is light. What I'm looking at and coming into just doing a little wheelie is being able to shift my weight onto the rear wheel to get that traction, to lighten the front, and then use a little bit of bounce to help that suspension start to move down, and I work with the rebounding action to lighten the front. As I'm pushing down and the front wheel is actually starting to rebound up with the forks, that's when I deliver a little bit of clutch and throttle, a blip. And so what I mean by a blip is just pulling in the clutch, and when I give it a little bit of gas and let go of the clutch at the same time. So that little motion is a blip. And that's the beginning of, you know, lots of other techniques to follow. The double blip and, you know, being able to be controlled to do a lot more advanced moves. But yeah, let's try and put it into motion. Starting off, this is as fast as you need to be going to do your wheelie. First gear, creeping along. I'm going to engage the suspension by preloading it with my body weight, then moving my weight backwards, letting the front wheel unload, and the blip. The same time I'm delivering that blip, I'm also pushing my body back and straightening my legs. Another thing I'm doing once I'm lifting the front is I'm pulling the clutch in again so that the front wheel will fall back down. I'm also covering the rear brake so that I have control if it goes too high. When you're initially just trying to do this blip, an achievement is really just lifting the front wheel 6 inches to a foot off the ground. As you get more comfortable lifting the front end up and dropping it back down, you can start to play with getting it a little bit higher. Once you have the blip down, you can start to kind of carry this a little bit longer. The most important part being is covering that rear brake. I'm working with the throttle and the clutch as I'm doing this to not give it too much, but always being prepared to let off. I've been doing standing wheelies, but honestly, a seated wheelie sometimes allow me to find a little bit more of a balance point. Still covering the rear brake, but now I can play around with that balance point. One of the ways I like to initiate that suspension bounce when I'm just doing a sit-down wheelie and going real slow is to grab the front brake. That helps settle the front, and then I'm allowed to get that weight shift easier.